Next on the agenda is the Executive Director's update. Sandy, please give us an update.
Thank you, Donald. Long agenda today. My comments, I will try to keep them brief. Sent an email out to the trustees about 10 days ago, trying to ruin your then weekend, providing details of our productivity reports. Now, these productivity reports date back 10 years. We have been tracking data on our workflows, transactions, and everything we do here. You name it, we know when it gets done, how often it gets done, how often one member needs, and how often staff get involved. We are doing this for one specific, very important reason. We're creating a model of how our system works. We have that model, we're improving it every day, and we're going to be using that to make an argument to you that we are going to ask for more staff and we are going to ask for increases in budget. I want all trustees to understand we don't make that request without having very hard data to defend it. And we will be making our budget request in April, and just want everyone to be thinking about that. One of the challenges we will have in the fiscal 2026 budget is the ongoing uncertainty on actually how many members BERS will have. So for anyone who's new, BERS has about 55,000 members last year. Auto enrollment rolled in 30,000 in November. Chapter 551, which is a UFT-sponsored legislation in Albany, allows any UFT union member who is a member of BERS to transfer out. Let me run through those numbers for you quick. 55,000 members before auto enrollment, 30,000 additional, 20,000 according to the UFT of UFT members who are members of BERS. So over the next year or two, I can't tell you definitive whether we're going to have 85,000 members or 65,000 members. What I can tell you is that we're 1/4 of the way through the Chapter 551 transfers. We have 56 transfers in our workflow. We watch it every day. We coordinate very closely with TRS. I estimate, I think the first time I talked about this, I said the most conservative estimate I would make is that 85% would transfer. I think there's a near zero probability of that. I think it's less than 50%. And if you ask our counseling staff who are counseling these people when they come in and ask, Maria believes it's under 15%.
That's going to transfer in or transfer out?
Transfer out from us to TRS.
Sandy, 20,000 total?
20,000. When Merrick did the estimate, when the legislation was first passed, it was 5,500. Auto enrollment rolled about 15,000 in. So there's 20, the day after auto enrollment, Merrick's estimate of 5,500 became 20,000. Okay, so
Of the UFT members.
this is what our budget challenge will be when we make it in April. We're either going to have a 20% increase in workflow or a 50% increase in workflow. What the good news is it takes time to hire people, but you should expect us to be coming to you with a eye-opening request for headcount and budget increase. I'll also layer into that, as we increase our headcount, we're going to need to increase our office footprint. We're in the middle of lease negotiations with this building. We have other proposals from at least 2 other buildings downtown. Downtown is the low-cost alternative. Brooklyn is the most expensive. Midtown is second, and Lower Battery is the cheapest. And I suspect we're going to end up being here.
You're the deal in the Bronx.
I'll consider that, Greg. We actually, we looked for a deal. We went to the DOE first. So you understand, we went to the DOE first to say, is there somewhere you can house us? And they said no. So during the next executive session, I'm going to go a little bit more detail into what's developing the lease side. But I want you to understand, I think I'm on the record for saying that I thought we could get our space for about $3.5 million a year. That would be a significant increase of our current 2.3, maybe it's 2.4 million right now, that we're paying for the space we occupy now. We're going to be asking to occupy more space.
I just want to also make sure when you're asking for this, we understand the efficiency piece of it, because I come through here a lot and see a lot of empty seats. And with the work from home, policy, right? We need to make sure we take that into consideration, because while we want to be prepared to serve our clients, we want to make sure we're doing it in the most efficient way possible. And I don't know that it's a one-to-one growth need if we take into consideration remote work from home and things of that nature.
I agree.
Don't disagree with that. And that'll be part of it. John?
Yes, Sandy, when you look at the budget for next year, will there be an opportunity to look at the OTPS and see the services that we're paying for as a system, and whether or not those services either need to be enhanced or decreased based on the needs of BERS, and maybe there's some cost savings there that can help us on the PS side and vice versa. And I think that would be helpful for. I know it'd be helpful for me. I assume some other trustees would find that interesting too, and see if there's some cost savings.
We will circulate the detailed budget to all trustees. We always do. You'll have multiple tabs right down to the individual line items.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, quickly, are we preparing something that would tell our members why BERS is a better deal than, are we allowed to do that? Or what would be the argument, that I would make to someone who would say, you're a trustee,
Transfer?
consider transferring, what would I say to sell the idea that you're better off here than you would be with TRS? If you don't have it now, but I think that may be something, if we're allowed to, it may be something, assuming high numbers of transfers, we may want to be prepared with some kind of a document that would actually educate the membership as to why it might sound good to be, part of TRS, or in fact, let's be honest, maybe it is good. I'm not being, but I'm just, what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to. We need to figure out and have something prepared to tell people what the best situation.
I think Alice wanted to engage in that.
In that same regard, on page C3 of one of the documents given to us in this discussion, where you mentioned the law,
Chapter 5.
Chapter 551.
Yep.
Even as I read it, it says to join and or transfer, right?
Yep.
We were at Reed one day, and a couple of gentlemen who work one of the programs was asking us about starting up, because they know that they were auto-enrolled, and they were attempting to find counsel so that they could get it notarized. And we had this discussion of, should they come here or should they go over to Court Street? And in that conversation, we later then found out there was actually one individual who actually does two different systems. He's actually enrolled simultaneously in BERS as well as NYCBERS.
Yeah, that won't last. Well, it depends.
Okay,
But
so that's
you can't be two at one. You can't be
it can't be.
contributing to
So
two.
this individual is.
It's a law that.
It's true that he could be. That was confusing, because I was like, you can be in both, and he made it sound like he's.
Depends on when he joins.
There's a new law that addresses that.
Yeah.
There's a new law that specifically addresses.
When you
Okay,
stop.
so there's a law, and will be a catchment now where people cannot do both.
We actually run
that way.
Yeah, we run that
So
monthly,
is this person? Why
looking
is this
for
person
people who are
assumed?
cross
Oh, okay.
members.
I mean, if you don't mind saying, I'll just, there have been situations in the past where a professional like a teacher may be a summer lifeguard, and a lifeguard in general would be a NYCBERS title. So there were issues when people go to retire that they may have had two numbers, one in each. And I believe that a piece of legislation was put in last year, to rectify those situations. I can't talk to the specifics of it because I don't have it in front of me, but there have been issues in the past where folks took a part-time job that would be a NYCBERS covered position, and may also be in the Board of Ed, or be in TRS, or be in a different system. And then when they go to retire, they find out they have two, but you can only get one check at the end. So there was a law to help rectify those situations where, how do you retire out? Is it through one?
So the law exists, but this person really believes they are in two systems right
Don't
now.
catch them.
If you, after this meeting,
Yeah.
you can email me or we can talk and
Okay.
give me their name and we'll look into it.
Okay, because when I heard that one, that was.
We run database searches on a monthly basis looking for those folks. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
I will also want to just put on the table, we've had discussion in executive session where I've asked that we really lay out, options of Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. As
Yep.
we're asking for this budget, that we understand what it looks like if, 15%, 20%, 50% join. So we have, kind of a tracking of the kind of resources that'll be necessary,
Yep.
given
And, well,
the actual numbers.
The good news about that, Corinne, is that the deadline for transfer is December 10th, 2025. So, we will know by very early in, middle fiscal 2026, exactly what the headcount requirement will be. And so what we will probably do is making incremental requests fiscal 2026, fiscal 2027.
And so
Now-
therefore, the budget should reflect that, right? We should have a
Yes.
budget that is, for this sensitive growth, this type, and, as we go through. It won't be one, but we'll approve a budget, but
Yeah.
making sure we know that we have plus or minus, either way.
I'm trying to throw a chill up your spine on the request, so it sounds moderate when we ask. To address Greg, though, so when the UFT originally put their request in Albany, there was some blistering commentary in that bill, and I credit Donald Nesbitt for watching it, knocking it down, because it was a vicious attack on BERS. I hope, just in case I'm being recorded, there was a vicious attack on BERS in this Albany legislation. And Donald was able to wipe that clean. And we have been cooperating with TRS and UFT on communication to the affected people. We have notifications on our website. Our counselors are prepared for this, and our call center is prepared. And UFT is being active in terms of marketing this to their members. But to be honest, I think Maria is right. Less than 15% will move because the incremental benefit is not significant if there is one. And we offer a little bit more access to counseling. A lot more.
The other question is, and this is, I guess, it's a little more nuanced. Is it considered jumping ship, or what are the facts? Why are
No,
people?
So there's always been a subtle desire of certain UFT job classifications who are PERS members that they wanted to be UFT, and TRS. Here's some information about the 56. There's information in what I'm about to tell you about that. Of the 56 transfers that we currently have as of this morning, 39 are occupational therapists, 14 are physical therapists, 2 are sub teachers, 1 is a sub para. It's the therapists. They've talked about this many times over the years, decades. So, and it's if they want to go to TRS, kiss them on the cheek, let them go.
Historically, TRS had technology that BERS did not have prior to CPMS. So that was a narrative that TRS members could access to things online and BERS members could not. But currently, there basically is very few members that will benefit from TRS. Very, very few.
And
What was the gap
some that will
between-
actually be damaged. We've actually have had a small number of people who asked for the transfer, made the transfer, found out there was a payment obligation for a program that they didn't participate in, and requested transfer back. So,
Okay, now that's something that we should be putting,
We have documentation
Out there.
on that. That is
Yeah.
all documented.
the counselors are aware of this, and that's why if anyone actually approaches us, we want to transfer, we advise get counseling.
I'm sorry, last question. How many years prior TRS were they automated before BERS?
Okay, so now we're going deeper into history. For a long time under the Bloomberg administration, Mayor Bloomberg wanted to merge BERS with NYCBERS and TRS. So for a long time, BERS budget did not give us resources to upgrade technology. And BERS was unable to procure that NYCBERS and TRS did. So we were behind because the board would not approve it under Bloomberg's administration. once we got approved to that and we upgraded to CPMS, so they probably had more a decade, 15 years ahead of us. All right, if you recall from some of our early presentations, BERS budget was 6% of what police was for like 20 years. And the amount of members, BERS members were shortchanged and the equivalent size of pension in New York City, to give you an idea of what we were working with and trying to play catch up with other pension.
Is there a number where, because those folks would still be DC 37 members?
No, they're
They're
UFT.
UFT
They're UFT members
They're
right now?
They're UFT union members.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we have UFT members who are
Okay.
part of BERS, and we'll continue to have UFT members as part of BERS. Okay, and last thing before we get to the real business, there are significant opportunities for trustee education coming up in May. NYCBERS, their accredited fiduciary program, their trustee educational seminar and annual conference, that is May 17th to 21st. And also, Top 1000 Funds has a very strong program of conferences. I'm not going to advocate the Singapore and UK conferences. No one's going to Singapore, no one's going to UK. But May 19th to 21st, there's a Harvard University program, and September 16th to 18th to the Stanford University program. These are extraordinarily good programs. I've spoken at the Stanford program, and I encourage anyone who wants to go to the NYCBERS educationals. These are very strong educationals. And we can organize these for you, just so you understand. We can get direct billed for the conference. You'd have to pick up hotel and airfare and meals, and we will reimburse you. Karen is the key contact there. So reach out to Karen, and I encourage you to consider these. Now, I did send around an email about a book I bought. I thought it would be here by now, but it's not here. I'll probably end up mailing it to you or giving it to you in April, but it's a great book on modern investment theory and where it is accurate and where it is not. And I'll be distributing that. But
Pretty awesome podcast as well.
yeah, it was good. Yeah, good. Thank you. That's it. Any other questions? Okay, sorry I took so much time.
Thank you.
There we go.